Hello and welcome to another episode of Space Engineer, as another glorious morning here in the game. I always love starting the episodes off with the sun rising over the horizon, as we have a fully operational battle station. More like a fully functional space elevator. Oh, this thing is amazing. So, what I decided is that the individual space elevators were too clangy to be by themselves. As someone I believe put in the comments, they were the yeet-ovators because they throw you off when you reach the top because they're going so fast. One of the major changes I did was redesign the interior so that there is actually seats so that you can, you know, take a seat while it's going so you don't fly off. But as you can see, I've added this walkway through here and all around all the other ones that connect all four cars. And then because of that, we have just one large elevator instead of four small ones. But this one large elevator is running on four rails. And it's all balanced out perfectly. It's all symmetrical. So this thing should, in a perfect world, be nice and balanced. So all you have to do is get in the elevator, activate the controls, press one button, and the elevator takes off and goes up. And when it reaches something in the way, so you can see that there is some blocks there, it'll stop. Because it reaches, oh, I'm at the top. I detected the top, and so therefore it stops. Then you press one more button to release the brake, and it'll slide down the elevator until it detects a block, which is these things. And if the elevator was going full speed, it would actually need some of this distance to slow down and stop. But then it just sort of will just slowly wheel its way down, as its weight is a little bit more than its brakes can fully do. So if it's got its brakes on, it'll just slowly slide down, and it slowly comes back down and will dock onto the tops of these wheels here. So I can should be able to dampen myself to them. And we can see them coming on down and dock on top of them. Absolutely beautiful. Then, if you're inside, all you have to do is just walk down here. The door will extend out so that you can walk across. And you walk out. Then we have a central platform here where you can get on any of the different elevators. And once you get on, you come over to this one and you press the button and you're heading your way up. And it works. And I'm super excited about that. So today we are going to be building out the crawler that is going to go up. And as you see here, I have some projections already in position. It's like I'm preparing. I'm getting everything ready so I can make these videos more succinct. There has been, oh my god, a lot of off-screen fiddling with this elevator. Hours and hours of building and fiddling in order to make this thing not immediately explode multiple times. It's sort of thing. It's been silly. But what we have here is more projections that are done in the recurring projectors that I did before. So we have this projector, which has the next segment, as well as the top of this will have a projector that will also contain the next segment that has a projector that contains the next segment, and so on and so on. And this is reoccurring 10 times. So that should go for a fair while before I have to redo the recursions. And the same thing in the center here, where this thing is. It is getting the next section. We have a long beam, which we need for the main body when it's contracted. Then we have 3 medium-sized, as the main body will reach up to here when it is fully extended. And then we have this here so that it can retract up and then reset the back of it, and then continue to inchworm its way up to the sky. And so we're ready to start building. But also, we're ready to do some building over in the city, as I've set up another one of the buildings that just needs to have a little top up, essentially. It just needs a button pressed, and it'll start building. We careen our way in here to my other Clang Fest. We have this thing. It's getting ready. It's spinning around. It's going good. It's building, I believe this is a party house. I'm not exactly sure, but it's one of the buildings on my list. So therefore, all we have to do is go trigger now. That thing will move up a block, and it'll start welding away. Everything's already set up, and now this thing will automatically build while we work in the background. There we go. Easy peasy. Done. I one button press, boop, build a building. It's so amazing. Such mega projects we're doing this season. It is fun. So what we need to do is build up this thing. And I believe first I should refill my hydrogen bottles, because I have hardly any. There we go. Full hydrogen. I got some components on me. It should be enough for what I need to do. So, I'll get out of build and repair here in a minute once I get this all planned out. We need to start it off. We're going to build out a little bit here, so we just have a little bit of a frame. I'm going to do a landing gear with a short piston combo here in order to bring this back in. How can I set this up correctly? I want a little bit extra space for this. Essentially what I want to do is I could just do this and like come out to here, put down the junction, and then put down the connector and call it good. But what I would like to do is move this like a 1/10 of a block or a 1/5 of a block sort of away, so that it's not going to be as close. How can I do this? I can actually just do that by putting a piston in this line right here. Yeah, I could. Okay, let me pull all this back. I don't need that. I can grab pistons, and I can just put a tiny little 1x1 piston here. And that should be it. Just enough, actually. Because the 1x1 piston is just more than a block. As you can see, that is just a tiny bit extra. So if I put that there, and then I go this here, and then conveyor junction, and then connector, unable to place. Oh, no, come back. Don't you dare crash into my elevator and damage it. I probably need to get this thing to move away just slightly, don't I? Okay, build and repair. I need you right now. So we'll slap one down right here. And we'll get the materials we need to build it, as we have convenient access to our storage here. And we'll get this guy supporting me. I want him to have a very small area. It's only going to be like a 10-meter area right now, because it can be a tall area. That's fine. And let's see where that area is, because I don't want him to be that tall. Just right here, because I don't want him to build onto this. I want the actual crawler to work on that portion of it. So let's just make him nice and small for his area, just so it helps me build out my thing here. 10 is a little small. Let's double it to 20. 20, 20, and 20, and it should be good. Alright. Then I can just turn them on. And make sure you're not super duper loud. So he should build up all these things, and if I get this piston built up, I'll be able to slide this whole thing out a little bit. And that should give me room to slap a connector on it. And then I can pull this back. And I definitely want to make sure to share inertia tensors so this thing is as straight as possible. And you can see how now there's a tiny little gap between those. That'll definitely help with my clearance issues. I'm going to turn off a few of my waypoints here. They do not need to be on. Oh, those are from the signal in the antenna dish. Oh, okay. Antennas. Off. And I have that on my HUD for some reason. Is he simple door show on HUD off? Hmm? Okay. Just go away. Anyway. So now, that should be good. Now we can go up with this. So this would be 2 long pistons. 1. And 2. And grab some parts for this. I can move this. No, I don't need to move this. I can access from this portion of the build and repair. Excellent. So while fully retracted, then we can put another junction, and then we will need to move this away so I can get to that other connector on up here. And get a connector there. Excellent. Now, from here, we're going to need to run stuff all around so that we can get welders in all these spots. We don't need more connectors. We can get rid of that. We're going to need welders. Let's reverse this thing. Pull that back into where it should be. From here, we're going to want to go up a couple, I'm thinking. So let's do tube. Tube? Yeah, tube. Then junction. And then we can go a couple tubes to then get into the center for a junction. Below that, we can place 1, 2, 3 welders, which should cover everything that this is going to repeat going up, including the connectors and the projectors. And then from this guy, we'll get, I'm guessing, long tubes all the way around here. And I think it's too short for a long tube, so we'll go medium tube. Yeah, probably is a good idea there. Maybe. Maybe I could have used a long tube, but who knows. No. Gotcha. And a couple more tubes out this way, as everything lags so much. And then a curved down. And 1, 2, 3 welders there. That'll cover that tower. And then just repeat this whole thing over here with a couple more normal tubes out, then a curved pointing down, and a trio of welders to cover this one going up. I'll probably have to build a little bit just to match where they are in order to get this to initially work, but that looks good. And I'll just repeat these on the other sides here. So once these are all in position, I should just be able to let this thing crawl. But we need to think about its timing of it. We're going to use DF Percussion's piston control script. We're going to make these 2 pistons here. We're going to essentially go plus 2.5, plus 2.5, plus 2.5, plus 2.5 the entire way up until we get to where we need to be, which will be 2.5 shy of the max length, if I remember my testing correctly. And then once we get there, we'll say, okay, stop going up, connect the top connector, disconnect the bottom connector, then pull the bottom up, and that could be just done by saying to the script here, you know, set the distances equal to 0. Very easily done. Everything I need there, and boom, last one. Okay, good. So those welder heads are in position. And realistically, what I should be able to do is I should be able to turn this build and repair back on. Because even if it builds this, there'll be nothing for these to connect to because it can't build through these. So it shouldn't build further up, so it shouldn't cause us any issues. So we should be able to actually take you and go to your area settings and crank it up. And now you can build on this and get it ready. Excellent. Okay, so now while you're building that, I'm going to make essentially a tiny little platform here for me to have a control seat and some stuff on that'll be hauled around for this. And I can stop flying. There we go. So, we're going to go with a seat. Not a flight seat. I want a nice control seat. And we'll add one more block to this. Just like so. Give myself a little bit of room up here to work with. So that way if I'm on this crawler as it's going up, I've got some space. And I could even do some railings. Railing straight along the back there, and then we're going to have some right railing diagonal right there. And then over here will be programmable blocks and timers, and I won't need to worry about that because I'll block it off. Okay. And I shouldn't need to worry about power on this thing because it should be always connected to the base. In a perfect world. Although I may want to slap a small battery or something on it. Just in case, you know? Just in case. Okay. So, thinking about it, we're going to need the programmable block. And we'll need that for DF Percussious script. We're going to need to name these two pistons here, which should be the only pistons that are on this grid. These 1x5 pistons here that are the unnamed ones. These have to be the ones I want. So this will be just 1x5 piston space elevator. Just gonna confirm this is the right one. Yep. And we'll take these and we'll make sure to share nurse tensors so that they are staying as straight as physically possible as my game freezes up again. I have disabled auto save. As you can see here, I just saved, and more than likely my thing is gonna freeze up again up here in a moment as it actually does the save. But I need to make sure I'm always saving myself as often as possible. Okay, I need stuff for a programmable block. And just pop into spectator cam here for a moment. Don't clang elevator. We're just gonna go check the building down here. Seems to have missed some blocks on the corner. I think it's just because this building is maybe a little bit too wide at the bottom. That's fine. I can get those with build and repair later. It's getting everything inside, so nothing I can complain about that. Oh, except that thing. Oh, because it was hanging down below. That would be why. Yeah, it'll get all the top floors. No worries. No issues. Okay, back to this thing. So, if we remember our timers from our inchworms, we need multiple of them. And we need them in an order here. There was a timers... Okay, where the hell is the side that has a control panel? There it is. There was a extend routine and there was a retract routine. And if we think about it logically, we can think about how many we're going to need on either side. So, to extend, specifically because we're using... Oh, we could use the script. We can definitely use the script here, but I think it might be beneficial just to have it slowly move up instead of moving up in increments. Okay, because what I could do, if I wanted to use the script to move upwards, I would have to do multiple timers. One timer would have the move up every X many seconds, 2.5 meters, and you would call this thing with plus 2.5. Then the other timer is waiting a set amount of time, which would be so many increments of the smaller timer. So say if the smaller timer was set to 30 seconds, so it stayed on each level for 30 seconds, might be a little bit too long, but I only wanted to do, say, 4 of those. I would need a longer timer that is set for 2.5 minutes, no, not 2.5, 2 minutes, just over 2 minutes. So that way you would get 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you would cut it off, stop the other timer, and do something else. That seems like a lot of work. What I could do is just have these be very slowly extending. But then if I use the... Oh, getting a little freeze there. If I use the script to interact with them, they would probably change the direction and stuff like that. Yeah, I should just use the script. We're going to be looping with a whole bunch of timers here. And it's going to be a little silly and might be a little bit difficult to follow, but hopefully I can figure it out here. So we're going to need to load in DF Percussionist, piston control, piston of position, and remember in custom data, we're going to need to make a group name for them. And so let's grab these space elevator pistons, and we'll take that name. We'll go space elevator, grab these two space elevator pistons. And that should be a group now. Are you... See, sometimes it just doesn't... Yeah, there it goes. Now it's updated. It doesn't like to update with the group name immediately. So then we can go into custom data, and then we go group name of space elevator pistons. Okay. So this is now operating on these two pistons. So realistically, what we should be able to do is we should be able to do the 2.5 and 0 and see how these two function here. Right? I'm just going to turn you off temporarily so you don't build up something I don't need right now. So let's see. These things should be operating after this thing. So let's go 2.5. Run. Multiple branches detecting piston change. I can't determine whether the subgrid is controlling. Really? Multiple branches. There isn't any. They're directly in line with each other. Space elevator pistons. This should work. Oh, there we go. Okay, I just need to be recompiled for some reason. Okay, so yeah, that moved him up one tick. That is excellent. And I should be able to place this here, right? Okay, good. It can be placed. So I'll cut that away. Don't want it yet. I'm going to set these back to 0 through here. Pulling them down. Okay. So then the max of these, if I remember correctly, that I want, is not their full distance, but minus 2.5. So if I set these guys at their max distance, let's just do a little bit of exploration here. Space elevator pistons. Let's go max distance, fully on out there. Reverse, sending them up. That is good. And they should get up to that one there, if I'm not mistaken. And here we are, arriving. Yeah, just past. And a little bit too far. So max distance is 2 blocks too far. No, more than that. Oh, no, wait, they're going to this one up here. Ah, my mistake. I was a little bit preemptive in my determination of where they were stopping. So I need them to stop right there, essentially. Right there. So we're 1 block too far. 1 block too far. Okay. 35. So then one block back is 30... Okay. I've got this figured out. So, I should be able to just run this argument again here, run back to 0. Current position was at 70 with the two of those. I'm glad I saw that. 70. So, one block too far is minus 2.5 from that, which would be 67.5. Yes. 67.5 is my total distance. So what I need to do is triggering a timer here. Timer. This is going to be printer start. This thing needs to trigger both a counter and a sub loop. So how this is going to work, and I'm going to do the fiddling with this off camera so I can get it done correctly, is this is to start it. This is going to trigger both this and this to start. This sub loop is going to be very simple. It is going to wait X amount of seconds, say 10 seconds, and then raise by 2.5. Wait 10 seconds, raise 2.5. Wait 10 seconds, raise 2.5. That's all it's going to do. This one is going to be a longer loop with the action of stopping this. So if I wanted to raise, say, 5 times, I would press this and it would go start for this and this. If I did it with start and this was set to 10 seconds, after 10 seconds, everything would raise up 1. 10 seconds later, it would raise up to number 2. And then you just want to keep doing it all the way up until 67.5. However many that will be. And I can do that math in a moment here. So say I wanted to do it 5 times. So that means I need to wait 50 seconds. Because it'll happen at 10, 20, 30, 40, and 50 seconds. This one has to kick in and stop this one between the 50 and 60 second mark. Now it's different if we trigger this one as trigger now instead of just start. Because if I say trigger now, it'll happen at 0, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, and so on. If I say this one is trigger now, I'd have to think about, okay, well, 1 has already occurred at 0, then 10, 20, 30, 40. Okay, I've done it 5 times between 40 and 50 seconds to then have this one jump in and stop this one from going too far. So if I do the math real quick on my phone here, if we have 67.5 is the amount of distance we need to go, divided by 2.5 is we need 27 increments. So this needs in total 270-ish seconds, say 275. Well, this one needs every 10 seconds, you're going to set up actions, and we want the sub loop where we start, and we want the printer here, this program. This is going to be program elevator pistons. Anyway, space pistons, probably better. Space elevator pistons. in your setup actions, space elevator pistons, we're going to run with plus 2.5. So then 27 increments of this later, this start is going to go to, we're going to want the loop counter in the sub loop. So loop counter, start, sub loop, start. Loop counter is going to be 270 seconds, which, say 275 divided by 60 is 4.58 minutes. So 4 times 60, 240 minutes. So 240 seconds. Plus, so 4, maybe brain's not functioning. Oh yeah, math, I can do math. 4 minutes, 35 seconds. That's what I need. I just had to get that in my brain. Hey, I can type in just an amount of seconds here. Hey, 275. There we go. 4 minutes and 35 seconds. And its actions is going to be, for the sub loop, stop. So now, what I should be able to do is, in my little seat here, I should be able to go find the timer printer start. Printer start. You can set it as trigger now, or set it as start, doesn't really matter. I can just I spelled the printer wrong there. Oh my god, why do I keep spelling printer wrong everywhere? Printer. Dear god. I can just have this one at 1. So if I start this, these are ticking down. After 10 seconds, the arms will raise 2.5 as it triggers there. And then it'll sit, and then it'll print the next level. But then after the total amount of time it takes to go all the way up, this will cut this out and stop the loop so that it doesn't go too far. Then, once this cuts the loop out, we want this one to trigger another one here, which will then do the retraction, so it pulls up. So I'm just going to stop these now. And we'll pull this back to 0. So that function works. This is then going to be timer printer retract. It is going to be called by this. Setup actions. Oh, I definitely need to name the pistons on this thing. Not the pistons, these things. Connector. Space elevator. Bottom. And you are space elevator top. Okay. So when we start the whole thing, we should make sure that the bottom is locked and the top is unlocked, just to make sure. We should pretty much expect that they'll both be locked, but we'll just doubly make sure that the bottom is locked, then we'll unlock the top. Then we're calling the two loops. This is the big loop, this is the sub loop. it's going to do its thing. This is going to do its thing. When this is done, setup actions, we also want the top to get locked. We're going to move this guy here. We're going to lock the top. Once we get to... Wait, I don't want to move that one. Okay. I'm screwing things up here. We're going to lock the top. That is what we want. And then the timer sub loop is stopped. That's good. Then retracting is going to get started. Yeah. So how it is so far, we start this. It starts this one and this one. This loops every 10 seconds to raise it up. This waits the 4 minutes and 35 seconds it needs in order for this to do all of its 27 loops that it needs to do. After 27 loops are done, this one stops this, locks up the top because it should be good. It should be there. And then goes over to this one and says, hey, you do your thing. This one will go to the bottom and unlock, and then call the piston thing run with 0. So it'll fully extend, it'll lock at the top, and then it'll say, hey, bottom, catch up, and it'll go and catch up really nice and fast. And then I should call one more timer here. Because then I can wait for this one. Yeah, this one can wait 10 seconds. This one is waiting the 4 minutes, 35 seconds. This is not needing to wait. This is waiting 10 seconds. Then we need one more timer, which I'll put over here. And this one will be... Oh, how am I naming these ones? Printers. This will be printer end. This guy will need to wait the amount of time it will take to retract fully. Which, if this is going at 1 per second, this thing, and it's 35, it's going to need to maybe wait 40 seconds or so. And once it waits 40 seconds, it will go printer, sort of space elevator, bottom and top, and let's just lock them both. Just to make sure, lock them both up. We should be fine. We should be incremented up. So then printer end is called after this one. Printer end start. Okay. That should be the automation of this. So realistically, if I've done this thing correctly, this should go perfectly. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do a trial run here, but I'm going to knock this down from 4 minutes 35 seconds. Let's knock it down to 35 seconds so that we can see this do 3 increments and then go through the motions. Oh god, but no, that'll cause this thing, the whole thing to fall. I don't want that. Never mind, we're not going to do that. We'll just have to, no, 275. There we go. We'll just have to test it out, see how it goes. But we gotta turn this back on now that we've got everything properly set up here. Let that build up. We can lock this up here. And lock this up here if we want. Because it is starting under the assumption that both are locked. And this should be good. Yeah, this contraption here should loop its way up the 27 times 27 increments it needs. It should build its way up, and then once it gets to the point where this is at the next increment up, it will then pull the whole platform up to match it, and then keep going straight up, building its own conveyor all the way up so it has all the materials it needs, and it should be glorious. I think this is good. Now the only thing I can do here is just speed this up a little bit by helping out building these welders, and that's pretty much it. We have built the vertical inch worm, and we are ready to unleash this thing onto my world to weld its way up. That's another thing I can add to the loops here, is the welders themselves. Where would they go? They would go in the start here and then the end here. These two would have welders on, welders off. If I wanted to do that, I could just leave them on 24/7. It's not like it's something that I need to worry about, like people getting too close and them getting welded and hurt. I'm building a space elevator, for God's sake, so if they're too close to the elevator, they're flying through the air at thousands of meters off the ground. It's their own damn fault if they hit it. But I think that's going to be it for this episode. Got a little bit of that automation done, and we got the elevator piston thingy ready to rock. So, next episode, I will 100% kick it off at the beginning with a wonderful time-lapse of this crawling its way up and printing everything out. Because we jump into the spectator camera again here. Oh, God, that's just, it's so sexy, man. The whole contraption is beautiful. But it can go 10 times that height before I need to worry about resetting it. So if I get it back here and I'm sort of doing my own fingers on the screen, 2, 3, 4, like within the screen here is only 5 times. So it would have to be double that. So it would have to be like that height. Yeah. 1, 2, 4, 6, 7. It's about 8 or 9 up to the top there. So yeah, this thing will go multiple kilometers up before it runs out of steam here and runs out of track, essentially, that it can get laid down. And, oh my God, there's seams in the world. Other than that, building's printing nicely. Our, what is it here? We're building lots of components in order to keep up with all the demand I have. And we should be ready to rock to build the space elevator all the way to space. But that will be in the next episode. For now, thanks for watching. And good hunting out there, fellow space engineers.